Hey, you getting tired of me yet?
Yes.
Good, because it's time to start my next video. So, everyone who's not watching, start paying attention. Alright? Good. So, when I said I was going to start uploading soon, even I didn't expect that I would want to start so soon. But here we are.
So what are we going to be doing in this video, Papa MSI?
Well, my little smooth brain viewer, today is going to be a day that I actually start sticking to my name and actually making something for once. I know, right? Unbelievable. If you read the title, you'll see that this project is gonna be a big one. One that the more research I do for it, the more that I'm realizing I'm regretting this process. Why do I always put myself through this? Enough of the funny business. Let's actually get into the video. So, we should probably start with the reason that's going through your head. Why the hell would I be doing this to myself? Why would I be going through this process when I could just, I don't know, buy a 3D printer? Well, to answer your first question, I'm an idiot. It's a fact that I try to make as well known as I possibly can, but it seems that I haven't made it clear enough on this channel considering you have dumb questions like that. To give a clearer explanation, I already do have a 3D printer. In fact, I've had many over the years. I got into 3D printing around 5 to 6 years ago, and ever since I started a new school which had a ton of them, I couldn't stop my infatuation with them. My first printer was an ANET A8. If you've ever used that fine piece of machinery, you know why I've had many printers over the years, and I'm always focused on finding the perfect printer. So, what would little old me want with my perfect printer? Well,
The main thing I'm going for with this design is for my printer to be as massive as I can, within a reasonable budget. Also, for it to be completely enclosed, actively and passively heated, and for it to be a Core XY with a triple Z lead screw for active bed leveling. And finally, for it to print a lot of filament with a massive mountain so that I can just start mega prints made of whatever material I want and forget about them. I would also like a nice digital display and for the whole thing to have linear rails.
well, that is a tall order to fill. So, how are we gonna do it? Luckily, the younger, more stupid me had this idea in mind for quite a long time. I've been thinking about the design for quite some time, and I lucked out because I decided to do a model of it. I guess it did save me some time, so I guess give a hand to young me. Yay. God, I was such an idiot. Before I show it to anyone though, I want to do a quick explanation of a few little features I plan on adding to this mega machine. So, a bit about the design of this printer. When I started, I was mainly focused on how to design the Core XY mechanism. As I kept working on it, I found out that the printer was already going to be very big, nearly a meter tall for the entire rest of the world, and from Americans, about 20 Big Macs tall. For a brief explanation of a Core XY printer will have a square Cartesian design, which is different from a Prusa in that the print bed moves only in the vertical Z-axis, while the print head moves on the horizontal X and Y axes. It is distinguished from the similar HBOT printer because of the much longer belt and pulley system used in a Core XY system eliminates the excess torque that causes faster wearing on the belt and gantry.
Wait. All of you!
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
So, for those of you whose head started hurting the moment I said the word Cartesian, an actual basic explanation is that instead of the classical Prusa i3 style that most printers use, a Core XY printer is driven on the X and Y axis simultaneously through, I don't know, magic? This video is for learning about everything, and as I've said many times, I'm stupid, so shut up! The big reason I chose this style of printer is because the Core XY printers are known for their rigidity and the ability to increase print speed. Another big reason is because this printer has a massive bed, one much larger than most commercial desktop printers. So moving that massive bed is going to take a whole lot of power just to move it up and down, let alone along the Y-axis back and forth like most i3 style printers. A Core XY will reduce the strain on the motors and allow me to have all three of my Z-steppers be independent for true automatic leveling. So, this is Fusion 360. I'm sure many of you have possibly used this program before if you've ever been in a high school engineering class. I believe I've already explained it before, but Fusion 360 is known as what's called a CAD program. These are programs used to design products, electronics, architecture, and many other things. I started using Fusion around 4 to 5 years ago, firstly to make little 3D printed products and cosplay props, and now I'm using it for this. To give a basic overview of the layout, Fusion 360 has something called workspaces. These are basically places where you're able to do things like designing your product, to designing the appearance of your product, to even changing the shape of your product based off of certain parameters. Even manufacturing your product is something that you can do in these workspaces. Basically how Fusion works is you start with something called a sketch. Sketches are basically just 2D representations like squares and rectangles that you can use to, once you finish, you can extrude to create 3D shapes. The reason why Fusion is so great is that you can actually go back and edit these sketches to change their size. Changing their size allows you to change the shape of the object, and you can even go and change the shape of the object in real time, and it will update based on the shape of the sketch. The way that Fusion is able to do this is called NURBS modeling, which I'm not even going to get into. You can look it up. So basically, to create objects in Fusion 360, what you're doing is extruding sketches and creating bodies so that they can cut into other bodies to create more complex shapes. This is called a Boolean operation. So here is the basic exoskeleton of the printer so far. So when originally getting my inspiration for this printer, I obviously wanted to go with a Core XY. So when doing research, that led me to a printer known as the Voron 2.4. As you can tell, it obviously looks kind of similar to it, but this is pretty much the basic Core XY design. Also, if anyone is wondering how I am able to move so smoothly, it is because I have a 3D mouse. I bought it years ago. It is great. You should get one. They are amazing. Sorry, I get very distracted easily. Back onto the video. So this is obviously a pretty bare bones design right now, but I'm obviously in the early stages of working on this. The overall mechanism works, obviously. As you can tell, I have joints and everything moves accordingly. I can even move the print head around in X and Y. So as you can tell, the skeleton of this printer is made of 2020 aluminum extrusions. The main reason why I did that is because obviously they're quite cheap, and they also add a lot of rigidity, which is going to be good considering how large this printer is. However, I also need to add some brackets to make sure that the aluminum extrusions stay properly in place, because again, this is a very large printer, and aluminum, no matter how strong of a metal it is, likes to bend no matter what. The bottom, as you can tell down here, is made of this heat resistant plate. This is going to be made of a material still yet to be named that will make it so that the active heating is not overheating the internals of the printer. So as you can tell, I have 3 Z motors, which is a little different from most 3D printers, but there's a good reason, and that is because I want to have independent leveling for each motor. This is basically like 3-point leveling, allowing me to have the printer basically level itself, if you kind of get my drift. I put a clip right here so that you can kind of see how it works. And here is the hot end. I'm probably going to be going with, obviously, as you can see, the Titan Aero extruder. I want to see if I can put a volcano hot end on the end of it, possibly even a super volcano. That way I can have the most amount of filament possible coming out of the printer. Considering how absolutely massive it is, it's going to be super helpful, because the smaller the nozzle diameter, the longer it's going to take for prints. And I would like to do detailed prints, but that's not the point of this printer. And as you can tell, this is obviously very basic, but here is the electronics bay. Right now, all I kind of have are the motors and some blockouts for where the power supply is going to go. Eventually, I will be getting to researching all of the electronics, but this is mainly to show off the concept of the mechanism of everything, so this is what we're going to get for now. Alright, now to show off the case. So my focus turned into making this printer almost its own enclosed cabinet, with storage for many tools and multiple rolls of filament. That led to the case, which we see now. For the case, I want it to be made of a durable and heat resistant material. I'm probably going to go with aluminum sublimation panels, but due to the price and how big this printer is going to end up being, I don't know what I'll be doing for it, so I will be looking into other alternatives, and if anybody can give me an alternative, that would be definitely appreciated. I mainly chose it because it just looks pretty. To make sure that prints are going well, I also want to have a camera unit to monitor all printing progress. Preferably one on the nozzle and one farther out inside the printer to make sure that I don't have any spaghetti failed prints. I also want to have a side case for up to 4 more spools of filament, with an added silica dryer attachment box similar to Mihai Design's design. Check the link in the description for his channel, by the way. Also, for when I come to check in on the printer every once in a while, I want to have a large front plexiglass or acrylic front panel for proper viewing of prints. I also want to have a bottom storage unit for all the tools that are required to clean up 3D prints and go through the post-processing process. Above the storage unit, I also want to add an active heating unit with proper gasket sealing to maintain high temps for printing high temp materials. And as previously stated, I want to go with a Core XY mechanism for rigidity and a few other things, as well as the triple lead screw for active bed leveling. I also am going to be adding a BL Touch to make sure that the bed is perfectly level every single time, and I can do this automatically. And finally, if necessary due to the power constraints, a dual power supply running in parallel. Hopefully I could find a power supply that has enough wattage to run the massive bed, but if not, this will be the case. So, as previously shown from the sketches, I wanted to go with something that was quite boxy. This is mainly because I wanted to make the printer basically kind of like a cabinet where I could have a storage area right here, have everything enclosed, and then I could just sit this thing in the corner, have multiple rolls of filament right here, and just have this thing print. So that's where we kind of get the design for this. This is obviously not a final design, and there are obviously a lot of tweaks that need to be made over time, but for a general shape, I like this case, and it seems to be quite simple. So I actually lied at the start. Today is going to be a day that I actually start sticking to my name and actually making something for once. I'm not going to be able to make this in time for the end of this video. I know, you can claim all the clickbait you want, but it's quite obvious that this is going to be a longer term project. Not losing my chance at all those non-existent views for nothing. I'm going to continue this project as more of a reoccurring series. I'm really trying to avoid my unintentional 8-month break again, so I will continue to update everyone as the project continues. And of course, I'll record every bit of my suffering for this sick form of entertainment we call the internet. However, I am going to need some help. As previously stated, I'm an idiot, and we idiots decide sometimes before we think. And this idiot decided that it would be a good idea to try and design a really advanced piece of machinery with limited skills in electrical engineering. I can make something look kind of pretty. That don't mean I'm good at making it smart. So, if anyone wants to be a real homie and give me some tips on how I can get all the coding and program stuff done, that would be much appreciated. To be honest, I know I'm gonna have to go down the rabbit hole myself, but I thought I would beg for someone else to school me on what the hell I'm doing. If you want to contact me, either message me on Instagram or my Twitter DMs. Anyways, if you enjoyed this kind of video, let me know in the comments. These are the kind of videos I wanted to be making from the start, and this video was really fun to make, so expect more like it soon. Also, press that little like and subscribe button. Come on. You know you want to do it. Press it. Press it! You don't want me to hurt him, do you? Good. Anyways, bye.